Hello, I'm Rebecca, the founder of triiyo, and welcome to PEP Talks with triiyo. triiyo is the leading solution for workplaces to support their people during every life transition, from starting a family to retiring and every life event in between. On PEP Talks with triiyo, we chat to our expert partners for advice on how to best navigate these common, complex, and often messy life stages that happen during our working career. Keep listening as we connect the dots between life and work with the simple aim of education and empowerment. After all, life happens at work. In today's PEP Talk with triiyo, we're joined again with our expert partner, Christina, co-CEO of Wavia and an Innovation Tragic. We're going to be discussing innovation and specifically the Massive Transformative Purpose, which is a completely new concept to me. So firstly, Christina, could you tell us a little bit about yourself and the work you do at Wavia, and what does an innovation tragic mean?
Oh, so many conversations in that question. So Wavia is an impact organization. Everything we do has impact underlying it. So if we're not impacting the world for good, then we would normally say that's not in our remit. So we have three arms to the Wavia business. We have a professional services sector. We have an impact investment platform. My passion in Wavia is, or my passion is Wavia, period. But my responsibility in Wavia is executive education. And if we get the executive education right, and my purpose in doing that is to enable enablers to go out there and create that impact for change. So we give people tools, resources, and that's where the innovation tragic comes in. I've been in the innovation field for a long time before it became trendy, before everyone wanted to be the chief innovation officer, where people would go, in a what, or everybody wanted to use the innovation, but they did nothing around. And let's face it, a lot of organizations still don't. So I am absolutely passionate about helping organizations embed an innovation strategy into their business plan, figure out exactly how it's going to happen, and then go forth. And that's where the mass transformative purpose comes from. So we hear a lot of conversation around purpose and having a purposeful and meaningful life. A mass transformative purpose is setting your goal really high, and it's almost like you can just kind of almost see it and you almost reach it. And then as soon as you almost reach it, you set the next goal, because that's where the challenge is in creating impact, in creating scalability for an organization, and in creating the world that, let's face it, we're happy to leave our children, our children's children, even 7 generations forward as our First Nations people talk as far as ancestors go. How do we create the planet, the world, the social organizations, constructs that we're happy to leave 7 generations into our future?
So can an individual themselves, do you have to be an entrepreneur? Do you have to be in the tech space, or can an individual sort of go, look, I've got this, idea, or, if they've got a job within that role, how do we tap into that innovation or that transformation? How can we bring that out from within us?
So I believe everyone has the ability to, we do all have the ability to create and to ideate. And for some people, it's their absolute passion to be the ideator, the imagineer, the creator, the innovator. And however, if we had a world that was full of ideators, creators, imagineers,
nothing would get done.
Absolutely. So one of my favorite sayings around that is, just imagine Walt Disney without his brother. And very few people know that the brother, whose name is Roy, was the actioneer behind it. So Walt Disney was the imagineer, went, hey, let's make this happen. I've got this great vision, Fantasyland. And Roy would go, Walt, stop. We really need to put some action around this. Here's the engineering plans. Here's the building plans. Here's what we're going to do to create that. So everybody needs the Walt and everybody needs the Roy. And the other match around that is Steve Jobs and Wozniak. So Steve Jobs, and actually, without Wozniak, let me give you one of my favorite Steve Jobs stories. So Steve Jobs, IDEO is another amazing organization. They now operate out of Stanford. They're very much around design thinking. And David Kelly and his brother Tom were founders of IDEO. Amazing organization. I highly recommend that people look them up. Anyway, so Steve Jobs apparently rang David Kelly up at 3 o'clock one morning. And David Kelly says, if anyone rang me at 3 o'clock, I knew it was Steve. No one else would ring me at 3 o'clock in the morning. And it was when Apple was creating their mouse. Okay. And he said to the mouse for the computer, and he said to David Kelly, he said, I want a mouse that doesn't have a seam in it, because I don't want that unevenness when I'm using the mouse, and I want it to be sleek and da-da-da. And David Kelly's going, how on earth do you think that's going to happen? And Steve Jobs said to him, apparently, I'm really disappointed, because if anybody could do it, I was sure it would have been you. 3 o'clock in the morning, right? Anyway, David Kelly went away, and IDEO actually came up with the seamless mouse. So it's having that absolute vision, but then you need the team to create it. So Steve goes, this is what I want. And then he goes, who's going to do that for me? You know, who's going to create this computer? Wozniak will create the computer. Who's going to create the mouse? David Kelly can, you know, I'll put it out there to that. So we absolutely need the creators, the ideators, the motivators, the inspirers, the innovators, but we need the teams that go behind it. So my line at the moment is innovation is everybody's business. Because if you're the process person, innovation is not going to happen unless there's some kind of process aligned with it. Innovation's great, but if no one hears about it, it's purposeless. So therefore you need the marketer, the communicator. You know, innovation is wonderful, but if you can't afford it, or if you need to scale it back or whatever, so you need the finance people involved. So a wonderful innovation team has the ideator, imagineer, innovator, whatever you want to call them. It has the actioneer. It has the person that's going to go, okay, these are the actions that we need to take. It has the project driver to make sure those actions happen. You know, it has the accountant, it has the marketer, the communicator. Innovation is everyone's business. So in order to have this mass transformative purpose, and I'll give you a micro example of that as well. I did some work with a council, and we had a team of leaders in the room, and everybody had a project. It was a big multi-million-dollar. Everyone had a big multi-million-dollar project they were working on. And we went around the room by way of introduction, because these people hadn't been in the room together for quite some time, as most people haven't yet. And everybody went around and said, this is my project. This is what I'm working on. And there were 12 leaders in this session, and it was synchronous, purposeful, whatever word you want to use, that the last person in the sharing exercise said, you know what? I actually don't want to be a leader of a project. I want to be the person behind each and every one of you, making sure your projects get over the line. And I just went, wow, for this person to actually say that in this room created this whole new level of respect and operation and honesty within that process. And it was wonderful and amazing and enlightening all at the same time. And I think that is really crucial, that we recognize that innovation is everyone's business, and that if you want to have a role in that team, great. You know, if you don't want to have a role in the innovation team, equally great.
Yeah.
Do what it is that you need to do. One of these people in the innovation team will come and consult with you. That's fine. But without an innovation team, without an innovation driver, innovation won't happen within an organization. And there's a saying that says that the fish rots from the head down. And I can tell you that right now, if organizations aren't innovating, if they're not aware of what's happening around them, then they're not going to have the success and the future forward planning, forward clients, etc., that they want to have. And the innovators that are innovating need to continue to innovate, to pivot, to add new things into their industry, to continue to develop, because otherwise stagnation, it gets nobody anywhere right now. Yeah. And, the saying that says nothing will ever be as slow as what it is right now is absolutely true.
Goodness, absolutely. And as much as we need innovators, we need the doers, because innovation means nothing unless it ever comes to fruition, if it's never, comes to life. Yeah. And I suppose, and innovation doesn't have to just be through entrepreneurship. Within organizations, we have the intrapreneurs. Correct. So, how can organizations help to identify who their intrapreneurs are and nurture those so that the organization itself can innovate and grow and, be a leader in what it does? How do we find those people within our organizations?
you need that innovation strategy. For me, it's embedding that innovation strategy. It can be very bespoke to an organization. So we'll go in and we'll get the organization to set its own targets, its own boundaries, its own ratios around what their innovation strategy looks like. And then we'll help people find who those innovation champions might be. Don't ask, don't get. So if you don't actually go out and ask your people where their passions are, and often you see there's people that come to you with new ideas, all the time, and which is absolutely wonderful, and that needs to be encouraged. So we're actually working on a platform where that can happen as a process, as part of the that whole innovation process. But I think it's really important to walk the talk around innovation. So I often tell a story about the very first, and this is like 10 years ago, 12 years ago, the very first innovation big project that we did within an organization. I had about 4 or 5 meetings with this group, and I kept asking them for extra things all the time. And the first thing we asked them for was to collect ideas, which is where the idea for the innovation board came, but collect ideas from their people and then pick one of those ideas and have accomplished it before we went in to do the innovation workshop series. And they agreed to that, because what we wanted to show was that people's input would not be disregarded. It was valued and it would be operated on. Okay. And then the next meeting I said, right, well, we want you to pick 2 of these middle of the road ideas, and they're the ones we want to use in this workshop process, so that people know that we're not just making things up, that they're actually coming from something that has been approved by management, by the executive group for us to work on. Yep, we can do that. We'll select 2 from all the ideas that are coming in. And then I said to them, and I had a colleague working with me who said, don't you want this job? And I went, I absolutely want this job. Well, why are you asking them for so many things? I said, because I want to make sure that it works. I don't want something that's tokenistic. I want to make sure that we get results at the end of the day. So what we did then was we actually organized. We organized for those 2 aspects to be the major part of the workshop series, and we worked them up. And then the guarantee from management was that they would allow a presentation. So they would put the right people together who had the ability to make a call on whether it would get funded or not get funded or resourced in some way. Because innovation doesn't just mean money; it can mean time, which kind of boils down to money, but it's not necessarily an output. To run a prototype now is not as difficult as it used to be, because now we have things like digital twinning, and there's a lot of technology that can help us shorten what that testing process is.
Yeah, and a lot of open source technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing that we asked them to do was create an innovation group that would meet once a week for an hour, Beer and Pizza Friday, we called it. Beer and Pizza Friday, ideation to execution. So they were given an hour a week to meet, and we asked for a minimum period of 6 months for that to happen. 18 months later, I got a call from the innovation group going, hey, this is what we've done, and this, thanks, blah, blah, blah. So for me, that longevity was purposeful, but if it's not embedded into the organization, innovation's not going to happen. So I think it's really crucial that you get that support, that you set the parameters that the organization is happy to live by, write it into a business plan, know who's involved, have the driver, have that person that keeps everything together, but have the team that's a diverse team, not just your sales team, not just your marketing team, not just your production team, but you need all those diverse voices, opinions, thought processes in that team to ensure that innovation and working towards what that mass transformative purpose is for your organization is, so that it can be achieved.
Yeah, it sounds like as with anything within an organization, it comes down to organizational culture, and it needs buy-in from the top level so that it can really distill down. And I think with innovation, you are asking people to come up with lots of new ideas. And that's the culture, therefore, within that organization has to be, we accept that we might make mistakes, we might fail, things might not go to plan, and you're not going to lose your job. This is, you're not going to be pointed at and sort of strung up. So again, it's how do we create that culture of care and nurture and innovation and growth?
Yeah, we have, we often hear the rhetoric, fail fast, it's okay to fail, it's da-da-da. And then, if you ask a room full of people who's prepared to fail, no one will put their hand up because of the stigma around what the word failure means. So we've softened the word sometimes, and we've used the word mistakes, because sometimes it's okay to make a mistake, but it's not a big failure, you know. But my favorite story around failure is that Blue Chili. I had one of the guys from Blue Chili come and do a keynote for me at an event that I ran a few years ago. Anyway, he was telling us about what they called the Golden Cock Award. So pardon me, but if you had the biggest cock up of the month, then you got the week, you got presented a rooster. It was a golden rooster. And it was so it was almost like the rooster gave you permission to fail or make a mistake. But what it did was, you didn't just get the rooster because you had the worst idea or the worst progress or the worst cock up. The biggest cock up of the week. But you had to teach everybody else what you learnt from that process. Yeah. So it wasn't like you wore it as a badge of honor, but you had a sense of purpose for that award, and you were sharing things with other people, so hopefully they wouldn't make the same mistakes. But all that was, as you say, supported from the top down. But innovation doesn't just happen from the top down. It happens, like, some of the most amazing insights will come from your front line, because seriously, they're the people that are dealing with it on a daily basis. And one of the common questions that we'll get asked before we go in and run an innovation program with an organization is, how much money will we save? And I go, honestly, I don't know. You might save millions of dollars. You might save hundreds of thousands of dollars. You might save a few $1,000s. I don't know, because I don't know what the process looks like from the beginning. We can estimate. And the best example of that I give people is, there's a hospital in Florida, and they are primarily a cancer hospital, and they use their innovation momentum they had a ridiculous admission process that took 10 hours, right? The average admission of a cancer patient, like, as if it's not hard enough being a cancer patient, having to put your partner, son, daughter, mother, father into this cancer ward, 10 hours was their average admission time. So they held an innovation workshop, and they invited the people on the admission desk, people from admin. They had people, doctors, surgeons, nurses, everyone that was involved in that admission process they had in that workshop, right? 3 hours they got it down to. So on average, clearly some of them went longer, and some of them were shorter, but on average, they got 10 hours down to 3 hours. So my comment when people say, how much money will I save? I say, this is how much money the hospital saved in cutting down all these hours. 7 hours they cut down into the average of the admission process. So I don't know what your particular saving is going to be, but I can tell you that you will save money, you will save stress, and you will save that impact on your personnel and your client all at the same time. So it's that innovation process that continues to improve the experience for the people that work there. You know, if you go the Branson theory, happy workers, happy families, happy shareholders, you know, the world is happy. If your people are happy, you've got happy clients. If you've got happy clients, you've got happy shareholders.
Ripple effect again.
Yeah, again, the ripple effect. Yeah, exactly. So it's that whole community view again. It's not just about me, the individual. It's not just about me, the accounting person that says this isn't going to look good on my books initially, but I tell you what, it will in the long term.
Yeah. And what I love from that example there is that they had everyone at every level within the organization. Yes. And again, if you're going from the bottom to the top, you're giving people purpose. You know, and that goes back to, you know, mass transformative process, purpose, happy staff, happy organization. So I love this, Christina. Thank you. I'm going to leave it there. We've got so much more to talk about, but I love that. There's so many gems, and I think I'm going to do the Golden Cock Award in triiyo moving forward.
Love it.
Mistakes are good. If you're making mistakes, you're trying to think new things and you're growing. So you can't go far wrong with that.
Yeah. I love to say to people, just imagine if the first time you tried to walk, you went, oh my God, I failed at walking, I'm never going to do it again.
Yeah, exactly. It would be bum shuffling for life.
How good would that not be?
No. Thank you so much. I love talking to you, and we'll definitely meet again.
Thank you. I look forward to when we actually meet in person the next time again.
I know, that would be so good. See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you for listening. To find out more about how triiyo can support your people, visit triiyo.com.